So, American military rations, the stuff soldiers are issued to eat while out in the field. Ranging from hardtack, the hard cracker which was despised to such an extent that soldiers made a song about it, all the way to the modern MRE which YouTubers record themselves eating when they run out of ideas. American military rations have had a long and storied history.
But Scoob, what rations were they eating during the Vietnam War, man?
Well, that sure is a convenient transition. Thank you, voice in my head. The Vietnam War, or the Second Indochina War, saw the American military heavily relying on the meal combat individual rations, shortened the MCI rations for convenience sake, and also nicknamed C-Rations by the troops due to its similarity to the rations of the same name during World War II, and as a way to confuse me while researching. First adopted by the American military in 1961, the MCI ration was designed to provide troops out in the field with a nutritionally balanced meal rather than something simple to get them by. On paper, the MCI was actually pretty solid. Troops got a nutritionally balanced meal on the front lines. Sure, troops could heat it up if they wanted, but you didn't need to prior to eating. Aspects of the rations were interchangeable while still being nutritionally complete, and they had an incredibly long shelf life. Not even mentioning that there were 12 different options to pick from, ranging from beef with spiced sauce all the way to turkey loaf. And don't worry, all of them came with a package of cigarettes, because remember kids, we're in the 1960s and 70s. A dapper camel can still legally sell you lung cancer. And although sounding solid on paper and achieving the goal they set out to achieve, soldiers did get 3 nutritionally balanced rations a day, in practice, the MCI rations were less than ideal. Sure, the higher-ups back in Washington thought these rations were the best thing since sliced bread, but the men in the field were less than impressed. To begin, sure, they came in these convenient cardboard boxes, but inside the boxes were a variety of heavy cans and other crap, making them a pain to carry around with you in the field. Not to mention carrying them on top of the 80+ pounds of stuff you already have on. Additionally, most of the food was canned, and sure, you were issued a can opener alongside your rations, but say you lose that somewhere in between patrolling the jungle and getting shot at by an enemy you can't even see. Well, you might as well pass the time by staring directly into the sun, because you're gonna be SOL. Well, I guess you could use a knife to open it, but the joke lands better if we ignore that factoid. However, probably the most important aspect of the MCI rations which led soldiers to hating them is pretty simple. They just weren't that good. Across a variety of oral histories of the war, veterans mentioned their disdain for the rations, with one commenting that the rations were not to be mistaken with sirloin steaks, and another describing them as, quote, lousy. This is especially telling, given that these same oral histories discuss how sitting down to eat was some of the few precious moments of relaxation the troops got while out in the field. Now sure, specific aspects of the rations were more despised than others, chief among them being the peanut butter, crackers, and fruitcake. Which, side note, I'm glad I'm not the only one who doesn't understand the point of fruitcake. Though that doesn't mean the soldiers didn't hate the MCI rations as a whole. Far from it. In evaluation of various rations during field exercises at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, researchers from the U.S. Army Natick Research and Development Laboratories discovered that the MCI rations were far and away the least popular ration in the study. Though apparently the fruit was a hit. And staying on that positive note, some soldiers did find the light at the end of their culinarily depressing tunnels. The chief way soldiers did this was with their cigarette rations. Because of course they did. Though, cigarettes weren't the only popular aspect of the rations, because although the peanut butter was widely hated, it did have one advantage the soldiers could not ignore. Constipation. That's right, if your stomach wasn't agreeing with your newfound tropical environment, just hoard as much peanut butter as possible to clog yourself right on up. And if you were to combine it with the grape juice, your bowels would be mostly good as new. Yay. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Some Americans also went full Anzac and made DIY explosives out of the empty MCI cans to exploit the hunger which ran rampant throughout POV and NLF ranks. Hold on a minute. That's not positive at all. Cut. Anyway, in conclusion, the U.S. Department of Defense decided to end the suffering of the MCI in 1981, replace it with the meal ready to eat, or MRE for short, which is seemingly working out pretty well for them, as 45 years later, the MRE is still the go-to ration for the US military, and it doesn't look to be changing anytime soon. So I guess just like the many rations before it, the MCI has passed into the history books, only to be remembered by veterans of the Vietnam War and weird history nerds who find this stuff interesting. That last comment only partially refers to me. I'm more of a hardtack guy myself. This tastes like depression.